Hello students. So we are dealing with unit number 11, Japan and Brazil through a traveler's eye. So last two classes we have discussed lot about travel writing. Hope you have made notes on them. Now we actually start reading the lesson, that is the excerpt from the writer's travelogue, and that I have explained you already in the last class. So now we are reading from page number 97 in your textbook. Japanese manners. That is the paragraph we are reading. So before that, because this paragraph is concerned to telephones in Japan, so this is just a picture for you to refer. These pictures are taken from Google. If you also go and search in Google, you will get lot many things to see related to this. So these are some example pictures I have taken. So now this is how the telephones are situated in a small space on a small corner, a table corner. So this is how the phones are situated in Japan. Now what exactly the writer wants to tell us? Let's see. A quarter of an hour in Japan will convince you that you are among exquisitely well-mannered people. People who live on a hopelessly overcrowded island have to respect one another's privacy, or rather, would have to if they had any privacy. But they don't. So, courtesy has a double function. It is courtesy and it is substitute privacy. Take, for example, the little red telephones in the streets, shops, halls of hotels, etc. The instrument is situated on a table or on a counter. They have no space to spare for booths. You conduct your most confidential business transactions, your intimate love quarrels in public, yet in perfect privacy. Anybody, any passerby could listen in, but nobody does. A man's telephone receiver is his castle. What the writer wants to tell us, see, this type of telephones are situated in Japan. Now if you see the distance in between the three of them, do you think we will have any privacy of what you are talking with the other person on that side of the telephone? The person standing right beside you will be able to hear whatever you are speaking. That is why the writer says overcrowded small island, they don't have any privacy, but they have all the privacy. That's a contrast. That is a contradictory statement made by the writer, because he says you will see that people are so well mannered in Japan that if you are speaking on this kind of a public telephone, the person standing beside you will not listen to your talk. So that is the courtesy they are showing, and that gives you ultimately your privacy. That is how the author is telling us about the use of telephone booths. No, they don't have space to have telephone booths, spacious place for each one of us to get our own privacies. So this kind of arrangement is made. So in this, all kind of transactions, whether it is business, commercial, even secret love talks also are conducted in this type of telephonic conversation. See, he has mentioned in the last line, anybody, any passerby can listen, but nobody stands and listens to your conversation. So that is the respect they give to others' privacy. Just imagine the situation in India. Can this be possible in India? Get the answer on your own, because that's a different story altogether. We are reading about Japan. So let us stick to it. So that is how He is telling us, any see the arrangement, the next type of arrangement. So anywhere you go, the phones are situated just, adjacent to each other, so the person standing will also be just adjacent to you, so it is very difficult. So whatever you talk on the phone, nobody else is bothered to listen to it. That is what the author is telling us. So that is why he says exquisitely well mannered people. So mannerisms, how they respect the privacy of others. Then we come to the next important part of Japanese mannerisms, bowing in Japan. So you can see a lady bowing to another. That's a street, So on the street also, if you happen to meet someone, the greeting gesture is to bow down. See what the author writes for us. You will, of course, immediately notice their mania for bowing. Everybody keeps bowing to everybody else with the ceremonious solemnity of a courtier, yet with a great deal of natural and inimitable grace. Bowing is neither less nor more silly than shaking hands or kissing the cheek, but it is quainter, more formal, more oriental. It is also infectious. So the writer is writing in a bit of humorous way also. After a few hours, you start bowing yourself, but you bow too deeply or not deeply enough. You bow to the wrong man at the wrong time. You do not clasp your hands in front of you, which is bad, or you do, which is worse. So, he is giving us the description. He says it is more formal. Just say, our Indian tradition, our culture, what is the way of greeting our elders? Either we join our palms together in a namaste form, or at the most, if the person is too elderly or belongs to our family, we bend down to touch their feet and seek their blessings. So that kind of gesture is followed in our Indian tradition, Indian culture. That is how we greet people, by joining our palms and giving that gesture of namaste. That is how people in Japan, they follow this bowing culture. So bowing down to each other, that is their culture of greeting, of showing respect, of showing gratitude to one another. Then see, it is not just bowing down, okay? So the author tells us much in detail. What is that? You will discover that Japanese have a complicated hierarchy in bowing. Who bows to whom, how deeply, and for how long. One of the American states had an early traffic law which laid down that if two cars met at an intersection, neither was to move before the other had gone. How can that be possible? If two cars meet at one point facing one another, if the other one has to move, right? If both keeps waiting for the other one to move, pele up, so that doesn't work out. Similarly, if two Japanese bow, neither is to straighten up before the other stands erect in front of him. See, I told you. And rather, the author is telling us that it is a complicated hierarchy, it is difficult to understand. So, here you can see different degrees of bending, of bowing down, how deeply, how much deep you have to bend, for how long you have to bend, in front of whom you have to bend. So there are criteria given for each of these. a little complicated to us. It sounds a little complicated for us, but they manage it without difficulty, and even the smallest difference in rank, standing, age, social position will be subtly reflected in that split second. One man's bow is shorter than the other's. In many cases, there are clear cut differences in position and no difficulties. The basic rules inside the family are: the wife bows to her husband, the child bows to his father, younger brothers to elder brothers, the sister bows to all brothers of whatever age. So you can see, the girl in the family has to bow down to all the brothers, father and mother, even if the brother is younger to her. So the girl has to bow down. Wife bows to husband. Children bow to father and mother. But the sister has to bow down to everybody, irrespective of their age. I saw babies carried in Japanese style on their mother's back in clever little saddles. And whenever mother bowed, baby bowed too, somewhat condescendingly from his majestic height. You can see this particular picture, what the author is trying to tell us. You can see it on page number 96. See the lady bowing down, and on her back you can see the little baby tied in a saddle. So when the lady is bowing, ultimately the baby also bows to the other person. That is what here the author is writing. So that is how bowing is complicated, he says. It is bit difficult for us to understand, but they are since born and brought up there, follow that culture right from day one, so they are very easily used to it. Not only this, he further writes, Japanese stores employ bowing girls who stand at the top of escalators and whose only duty is to bow deeply and deferentially to all and sundry. The Japanese equivalent of our page boys who turn revolving doors for us. So in big stores they have girls appointed as employees, and the girls are given the only duty of bowing down to the customers who are coming to the store. That is their only duty, bowing down and greeting them. That is the work they have to do, he says. So see, so even if it is a business meeting, a family meeting, a social meeting, a religious meeting, whatever kind it is, you can see a business class of people here, but still they are bowing down to each other. Then further the author writes, on the famous and fast Tokaido line between Tokyo and Osaka, two conductors enter the carriage in a slightly theatrical scene. They march to the middle of the coach, bow ceremoniously in both directions, and then start checking the tickets. See, the conductors also enter the carriage. They have trains, you have seen? Yeah. If you haven't, then you can go to Google and search travel means in Japan. So when the conductor enters the coach, he turns to both the sides, bows down, and then starts checking the tickets. Just imagine if this kind of thing can happen in India, how nice the picture would be. Just imagine, and think of the picture that you get in front of your eyes. So now humorously, even further, the author writes, in one of the parts of Nara, I met a deer. I bought a pack of food for him. He came up to me, looked into my eyes and bowed deeply. It was no chance gesture, it was a proper and courteous bow. Perhaps deer are more imitative than I knew. Perhaps if they see people bowing all the time, they get into the habit too. Perhaps it is something genetic and is in the blood of Japanese deer. So, humorously, he writes that even a deer bowed down to him before snatching away the food packet from him. I do not know, but I do know that the deer bowed to me, then jumped at me and snatched the little food bag from my hand. In this, too, the deer was true Japanese. You can often see people bowing to each other with ceremonious serenity at the bus stop. Serenity means peacefully. Peacefully, people are bowing down to one another while they are waiting at the bus stop. But as soon as the bus arrives, the bowing gentlemen are transformed into savages. They push each other aside, tread on each other's toes, and shove their elbows into each other's stomachs. Read the given extract last two to three lines once again and imagine that scene in front of you. When before the bus arrives, all are standing peacefully in a line, systematically bowing down to each other, greeting each other. As soon as the bus arrives, that all mannerisms disappears and everybody pushing each other, stepping on each other, tries to get into the bus. So that is how the author is describing all about the bowing manners in Japan. And one more important thing he tells us is, last but not the least, eating soup in Japan. You see, eating soup. Hmm? You can see the food plate served in front and two people sitting. So this just for reference, okay? Then, what does he have to say about eating soup? Eating soup has more dangers than almost anything else. Look at that sentence. That itself shows how funny and how complicated things are. When eating soup, you must make a fearful noise. When you are sucking the soup, dragging it inside your mouth, that typical noise. Some people in our country you might have seen when they are drinking tea, this sort of sucking sound is there. I hope you all know that. So that kind of sound, while eating that soup also, people have to make that sound, he says. It is a sign of appreciation when you make that sound and have that soup. That means it is a sign of appreciation of that soup. Okay. Then even see which is the correct way of having the soup and which is not. See, they follow very strict table mannerisms. So this is how it is, which is right and which is wrong, how it should be held in your hand, how far, how to eat. So lot of things to be followed. Further, he writes, eating soup has more dangers than anything else. When eating soup, you must make a fearful noise. You must make a noise while eating a soup. It is a sign of appreciation. Now, further, he says, if you don't means if you don't make a noise, your hostess will think that what an ill mannered lout means stupid. What an ill mannered stupid person he is. If you make noise, the host will think you are a stupid person. But if you make that noise, but if you do, she will think no reasonably well brought up European makes such disgusting noises while eating soup. He must be an ill mannered lout. If you do not make that sound while you are having that soup, then your hostess will think, oh my god, what kind of person is this? No person will make such noise. If you make noise also, she will think ill of you. If you don't make noise also, she will. If you don't make noise, it is as good as you are not happy with the soup, you are not happy with the serving, you are not appreciating the host. So both the ways it is bit complicated and difficult for we Indians to understand. If in future any one of you happen to travel to Japan, please update and let us know the latest mannerisms that are followed. So this is all about Japan through the traveler's eye. Okay, this is what the writer has seen and he has mentioned it for us. So now next we are going to read about Brazil, but that we will continue in our next class. Till then, take care. Bye.